Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. This is G, and you are watching Allastrology. I'm going to take a walk with you together. We are going to walk through the November eclipse. Yes, we have an eclipse coming up November, and this is the deep dive for those that are daring. The desire, the capacity, curiosity, and the patience, right? It takes a lot of patience. Astrology can get deep really fast, and it can be easy to get lost. But if you have perseverance and you have the stick-to-itiveness, eventually things start to click. Everything that's worth having, it's worth working for. And that's kind of how I view astrology. So let's pull the chart up for this eclipse. So here we are. Here is my cursor, top right-hand corner. Yeah, I just made a circle. Okay. So you're just going to follow me over to the date of this eclipse. Yeah. The date of this eclipse right here, little arrow there, November 8th, 2022. And this is a lunar eclipse, folks. Lunar. So we don't really pay too much attention to the actual time like we do with a new moon eclipse, with a solar eclipse, because a solar eclipse is intention setting time. It's a time of prayer, a time when when you're kind of being like that metaphysician, magician, whatever you want to call it, but it's really nothing more than understanding the flow and the timing and like the astrological calendar, the astrological weather. Like it's going to snow, so I need boots. It's that thing. That's all it is. It's going to rain. I need an umbrella. But that's for new moons, right? So when we do that, we understand what the sign is. And so we're setting attentions towards the same keywords of that sign. Well, because this is a full moon, it's the exact opposite, right? New moon, it's a time when the sun and the moon are literally together, whereas a full moon, exactly opposite of each other, right? And so I'm going to point that out to you, and you can actually see it. You can see the degrees and the sign that it's in. So November 8th, 2022, the eclipse is a lunar eclipse, and it's lunar because it's a full moon. And I'm going to show you the moon right here. Where's the moon? It's 16 degrees in the sign of Taurus. You see that? 16 degrees in the sign of Taurus. Yep. And that would mean, because I just explained, right? A full moon is when the sun and the moon are exactly opposite. What's the opposite sign of Taurus? Scorpio. So you go right across the board and look, there it is, Scorpio energy. And you've got the sun at 16 degrees, right? Because it's exact. And that's how we get a full moon, whether it's an eclipse or not. That holds true for all full moons. It's the exact opposition of the sun and the moon. We got to kind of break this down a little bit, because if you were to look at that Taurus energy and what other things are in Taurus. So if you focus your eye over here on the Taurus energy, yep, you see that we have Uranus in the sign of Taurus. The degree that Uranus is at, look at this. This is what makes this full moon a big deal. Well, other than the fact that it's an eclipse. What makes it an eclipse? I can start off there because it's a full moon, but why is it a full moon eclipse? Why is it a lunar eclipse, right? Because whenever you have a full moon or a new moon eclipse, what makes it an eclipse is it's going to be near the nodes, near the nodal axis, right? Or axis, however, whatever pronunciation is. So there's the north node at 13. It's close. See how close it is? Yeah, it's close. So the nodes at 1324, the nodes represent our future. The sign of the moon itself is to release and a let go sort of energy. It's like a completion, a cycle of completion. And then, Uranus's shocks and surprises. Lo and behold, look at that, shocks and surprises. What I find fascinating here is I have been trying to pay attention to the markets, just because the money and the health of our finances is what's been on the table for a while now, okay? And Taurus, the sign of Taurus is finances, is banking, is our money, right? That's the sign of Taurus. It's our values. Yeah. It's more specifically associated with like my values, because Scorpio, the opposite of Taurus, would be like our shared values. It's what we share, right? You and your partner, you have property. You and your partner have a shared bank account. I'm trying to get rid of that crazy line. Yeah, I'm just trying to get I can't draw, so, well, it's really difficult on this computer if you're not used to it. So, there's Scorpio, right? It's shared values, and the sun is in Scorpio, but look, so is Venus, right? We'll get to that. And then we see so is Mercury. Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of energy focused. Look at the opposite ends of the chart, right? There's a ton, not to mention the node, which is going to be here, of course, because the nodes are just the north and the south node always run opposite of each other. So it can be complicated because this is our money, our values, our shared energy. Okay. In a sense, it's we energy in a sense. Okay. It's intense though. It's it's really powerful. So some would liken it to being, sometimes we would liken it to being emotions and possibly wounds from the past. And so we also associate it with many times with taxes and debt, right? Things like of that nature, which people aren't real thrilled with. But when you have to have property, yeah, there's always going to be property taxes, and if you own a home, there's just even homes, businesses, right? You could have a business partner because that would also be our shared values. Right? It's not just mine. I have a partner, whether it has anything to do with marriage or not. It's a business partnership. It could be that as well. The other thing with Scorpio energy, and I'm going to keep talking about Scorpio also with Taurus, is because we best understand when we understand both sides of the energy, right? Scorpio, we, our values. Okay. It's not mine, it's ours. Taurus is really kind of focused on me and mine. Me and mine. Let's see if I can get a nice little simple thing here. There you go. Taurus is just me and mine. It's not yours. It's not ours. It's mine energy. It's my bank account. It's my pen, right? That's Taurus energy. It's what I value. It's an I word. So focusing on an eclipse and it being finances and money, it can also be very much earth matters. Earth literally matters because Taurus is an earth sign. Yeah. If it's an earth sign, it's asking, what do I value? Do I value the earth? Do I value the earth enough? Recently, there was a move or an announcement made. Maybe it wasn't talked about, like as big as I would like for it to be talked to get the coverage. But the Department of Defense, DOD, came out and said that their future purchases for vehicles for the military are going to be electric. And that's a big deal, right? Yeah, that's a huge deal. Going electric is going to be, at the end of the day, better for the earth, better for the planet, because the Department of Defense absolutely feels like a threat to our existence is climate change. They're not shy about that. They're very clear on that, actually. So for them, going electric for their vehicles, whatever way they can, because I'm not a military person, so don't ask me questions about that. I just watch a guy who knows a crap load about that stuff. Beau of the Fifth Column, great channel, short videos to the point, super clear, super logical, rational, and intelligent. Yeah, and that's been a big help, is paying attention to some of the things that he puts out. And I think that's a huge win for anybody who loves Earth, which Taurus loves the Earth. Taurus energy loves the Earth so much, think about Taurus food. What are the jewels of the earth? What are the precious things that we get from the earth? Yeah, this would be precious stones. This would be gold and silver and all of the copper, like all of the precious metals that literally come from the earth, not to mention oil. However, oil, because we have to drill for it deep below, like oil and coal, these would be like some Scorpio things, folks, whether we want to admit it or not, or even be okay with that. These are things, anything you have to drill for, like go super deep, that's going to be more Scorpio stuff because it's Pluto rules Scorpio energy. And the South Node, which is right here, this is the South Node. Okay. This South Node represents a release and a let go. Yeah. So it's a release and a let go over Scorpio things. Yeah, a release and a let go with Scorpio things. Okay. So if it's our values, values that we've had for a long time, our shared values, we're releasing and we're letting go. Now, remember, Taurus is the opposite of that. So it's really going to be about what is my new value? What is my new value? The North Node in Taurus, here's the North Node. Keep that in mind. This is your future. Yeah, the future of my values, the future of my money, the future of the earth, or the future of whatever it is that you value. And you possibly are really changing that. You're possibly really reprioritizing what it is you value. Taurus is, the animals, the food, it's nature. Think about all this. Think about everything earth and how we can change things, how we can use innovation, Uranus, to solve problems, Uranus, innovation. I know I put out a video already where I was saying, "Hey, look at Uranus here. This is interesting. Uranus is technology. Uranus would be nuclear." I'm not saying I'm pro-nuclear at all. But what I am saying is until we have the new infrastructure systems built that seem like something that makes sense, that would be long-term sustainable and better for the earth, until that time comes, we might be going a little bit towards the um, nuclear energy, because if we're going to get electric online as far as vehicles and everything going electric, we know darn well our grid system is not built. In some states, it's super, yeah, a bad storm and their grid is out. Not to mention electric vehicles, right? We're not even talking about, or the heat of summer and air conditioning and all that stuff. So it gets frightening when we think about it, but we are in transformational times and we can do this. We have the energy that we need to do this, the mindset, the thinking. I want you to take a look at Mars. Yes, this is an eclipse video, but in an eclipse, you got to talk about, well, any video I do, I have to talk about everything, that's all the players involved. Mars, you see Mars at 25? Yeah, Mars at the end of October began retrograding. Okay, there's a series of Mars videos out. If you haven't watched them, you might want to go check those out. I'll leave the link down below. Mars here is 25 degrees in Gemini. Okay, so we truly are. Some would say that this energy, especially with the eclipse, the Scorpio eclipse that happened in October, that we were changing timelines. Yeah, changing timelines. And Mars in Gemini has a lot to do with that. We're changing our thoughts and the way we think, the way we use our mind. Okay. And once that happens, we change the way we communicate, the way we relate. We change the way we do business, Gemini, Mercury, keeping track of information, Mercury, data, details, Mercury, and then sharing it, Mercury, Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini. Mars spending 6 months. 6 months here. Mars is spending 6 months in this sign. So this is huge. Okay. It's big because Mars takes action, right? It says, this is a new thought. This is a new way of thinking, or I'm going to initiate a new way of thinking. How about I need to have some extra education, maybe start learning something new so that I can really, truly expand my mind and open my mind. And yes, do things differently, do business differently, communicate differently, share information differently. Remember, Gemini is emails, it's social media, it's the internet, it's communications. It is snail mail too. It's the way we deliver the news, however that is for you, however you receive your nuggets of news. So Taurus is in this eclipse, right? Taurus is in this eclipse and it's the lunar, so it's a release, okay? So it's a release because it's lunar, but just like the other eclipse, it's interesting because it's a let go and a release and a completion, something to do with Taurus. Taurus is the earth, but also the money and the banking, but your food, it's the earth, so it's agriculture. It's the land itself, and the land itself and its relationship with water. Taurus is earth. Scorpio is water, its relationship to water. What is that? Water is all of our values, right? Water is all of our values. It's the animals, it's the plants, it's the vegetations, it's humans. We need water to live. We need it just like we need the sun, right? The sun and the moon and the stars and the sky. All of this makes up our everyday life. Now, we're completing something because it's an eclipse in Taurus. So are we completing what? We're finishing something. We're finishing up with certain values that I had, right? Things that I wanted, right? We're completing something. And we're thinking differently about our future and what we want for our future. Because the North Node, again, all about where I'm headed for my future. So are we releasing over here at this North Node? Yes, because it's a lunar eclipse, it's a release. However, because it is next to the North Node and it's about your future, the North Node represents what's coming in, what I don't have yet, but what is coming to me. And it's in the sign of Taurus. So, what is it that you want for your future? What is it that you have been changing? What has had you for these last 6 to 12 months, right? Living through pandemics, living through, you know, possibly siblings and coworkers and next door neighbors and your own community that you thought was your community. Perhaps you're changing your community. Perhaps you're deciding on you can't live where you live anymore because Gemini energy is your local community. It's where you're at, right? It's your literally neighbors outside in the backyard over the fence line. That's Gemini, but it's also coworkers. So it's interesting how the lines kind of emerge, right? If I move, I change my coworkers, but I also change my neighbors. What are you releasing for this eclipse? Has something to do with Taurus. What sort of values are you releasing? Remember, it can also be love, self values, certain things you may have valued about yourself. Aha, but hold on. This is the beauty of the astrology and the beauty of mystery is that North Node holds a large amount of mystery, doesn't it? Yeah, it holds a large piece of mystery because we don't know yet. We're like, wait a minute, I don't know what I'm going to value in a year's time. How am I supposed to know that? Well, guess what? Taurus is about your desires. Yeah, Venus rules this planet. So it's all about your desires. What do you desire? What is important to you? What do you desire? Let's go find Venus, and this will help us. See how we're just simply following the energetic breadcrumbs, right? We know Venus, I pointed it out earlier. I did it fast, but there she is. Venus is over here in Scorpio. Well, this is complex now, isn't it? Because if Venus is in Scorpio and Mercury's here too. Here's Mercury in Scorpio energy. So this is, you know, you're telling me that my values are now our values. Yeah, because Mercury is in Scorpio, which is our values. Venus is in Scorpio, our values, right? The sun is in Scorpio, which is an authority figure, our values. Yeah, Mercury there means it's what we're talking and what we're thinking about, how I'm thinking. Scorpio can be combative and powerful, so be careful, meaning I might be willing to fight you for that. Like, yeah, that can, and could be combative words because it's Mercury and Scorpio. The sun being there means an authority figure. Who's the authority figure in your life? Some, it's just their mom and dad. Some, they have a boss at the job. Some, it's their clergy. Some, it's an older sibling. It just depends. Who do you consider an authority figure in your life? And then we have Venus here, which is what I desire. What I desire. And at this point in time, Venus is desiring the we stuff, the we values, right? So when we think about money and taxes and debt, kind of like, dare I say the word IRS, right? For some individuals, there might be some of that happening. There might be a focus on folks' money, people who had large quantities of money or values that maybe they weren't paying their fair share on. That's a possibility because this focus tells me that there's also still a focus on what we value. It's complicated, it's complex, but at the same time, Just think of what you value. Just think of how the Taurus energy plays in your life and look for the 16 degrees. Now, because it's at 16, I do a 2-degree orb. So 2 before, 2 after, which means we put this at 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 degrees of Taurus energy. Do you have something at those degrees? All right. It's something about your values. It's a release. Because the moon is here, it's a lunar eclipse. It could be strong feminine energies. It could be someone who exudes feminine energy. It could be mom energy, mother wounds. It could also be females in general in terms of being able to have a child, have a baby, right? Because feminine values have absolutely been I'm seeing a bullseye, a target. And so that could possibly be this. Okay. Now it's a completion. So something is ending, but don't forget that we are being supported by the universe at this time. We have Jupiter. Look where Jupiter is at the time of this. It crossed over into, I don't know what just happened. Sorry about that. I've been having the quirkiest things happen with the internet and devices. We have Jupiter, which has broken through the Aryan energy, and it is now right here. Jupiter is now right here at 29 degrees of Pisces. Okay. And this is divine help. This is assistance. This is unity and understanding. It is definitely politics. Okay. It can also be the angel wings, because Jupiter right now for these few months is super close to the earth. So Jupiter is known as the greater benefic, meaning we just, we might have come upon some bad news. We might have come upon something that we had to release and let go, and we were kind of blown away by whatever that was for you in your life. But then something else is there. There's assistance. Like there's going to be answers. There's going to be help, even though we don't see how that could possibly be. And that is the beauty and the divine magic of that which created everything I'm talking about here. Deity, right? Whatever that is for you, God, Allah, Creator, Yahweh, whatever that thing is that you pray to, or some of you may not. And that's fine too. Whatever, do you think there's something greater than you that exists? Okay. Do you think there's something that is more important than just yourself that you'd be willing to work towards, or that you support? A divine, benefic, helpful, assistant energy that comes through. I'm going to say a few words about the war. Okay. If you watch the Jupiter videos, go watch them. I put them out a few months ago. When I first saw Jupiter entering Pisces, once it got out of the Aries energy, because at the 0 degrees of Aries, it was going to be a huge deal. And it looked like something was going to happen that would kind of finalize the war. And then Jupiter going into Pisces also says, okay, stop fighting. It's like there's understanding all of a sudden. It's almost like treaty energy, although don't quote me on that. But it is, it's kind of like, we want to make love, not war. That's Pisces energy. Yeah. Aries is like, we want to make war. Pisces is, no, we want to make love, not war. So don't get too excited. Okay. Because I only say this because I know that this Jupiter is going to go to 28 in Pisces, but then it's going to go forward again, and it'll go back through Aries. And it will go through Aries pretty fast though. Okay. So that's kind of something for us to look forward to and to think about. But there's no doubt about it. Just look at the chart and the markups I have in the chart. Look at the big picture. Where are the most markings? We've got all the personal planets in Scorpio, shared resources, shared values, whether it's coal, oil, the gems of the earth, but they are below the surface, things you have to dig deep for. Okay. And then we've got Mars, changing our thoughts, literally changing possibly timelines, but we're reprogramming. Our brains are literally being changed, because, the higher sign of Gemini, because Mercury rules it, but when you go up another notch, we are literally creating new neural pathways. Yeah. Yeah. Think about this. Okay. Gemini is how I think. And Mars, it is the body, but more specifically, Mars is the head, your skull. Right. We are creating new neural pathways. So we are elevating. We are graduating. And think of it as a birthing process, folks. So I know mothers out there understand this. They know very well the pains of the 9 months and then of the actual birthing process, right? It's not just oh, okay, baby popped out, we're good the next day and it's over. It's a journey, and that's what we're in. We are on a journey. So have no fear. The universe is here to support us. Okay. The universe is here, and just look at all the beneficial help. Jupiter now in Pisces and had been previously in Aries and doing some extreme things to hopefully kind of put a closure and a reality on the assertive and aggressive energies, to point them out basically, so that we could see, okay, something here is really wrong. This has to be fixed. Something has to be done. All right. So have hope. Don't give up. Hang in there with me. We all need each other to get through this, and we're going to. Together we are better. Bye-bye. So below the video, I'll have all the degrees for those of you who like to pay attention to the degrees in your chart. Again, if you don't know and you want to know, just comment below.